And we are live. Hello,
Alrighty.
everybody. Welcome. This is the new and improved live live feature rant. This new episode is very special as I have not only designed a new interface for the show, but that new interface is now set up to accommodate guests. Today we have two guests from the community. We have Kuramach and Serial, both of whom very, very regular people in the community. They've been actively playing the game and just doing all sorts of stuff and being a part of it. So I invited them on to be guests on the first episode here. Um, just also got to get someone on because got to test things out, and these guys were awesome and willing to help out with getting all the audio and everything set up. So very, very big special thanks to both of them. And let's get started. If you guys want to say hello and introduce yourselves.
I guess I can go first. Yeah, I just already got my name covered. Um, yeah, I love building a landmark, and I've been doing Legos and stuff my whole life. So yeah, I naturally came to landmark. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else to say.
Gotcha. How about your experience in previous EverQuest games, previous RPGs, previous Builder games?
Oh, yeah, this is my first EverQuest game. It just I could never get into EQ1 because the graphic style always. I got ruined early, but I think WoW was my first MMO RPG, really. Well, I guess Star Wars Galaxies, but Star Wars Galaxies is more of a sandbox. But yeah, I tried to go back to EQ1, and I'm just like, wow, at these graphics, everything was blocky. I just couldn't do it. Um, I've heard good things about the difficulty level, and I look forward to them saying they're bringing back that difficulty level in EQ next, or at least somewhat. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and that I mean, I play a couple other first person shooters. My first online game was Tribes 2.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, so I try to play everything. But my favorite genre, honestly, is anything with building. So even I've been playing a lot of RTSs for a while. Age of Empires, huge fan of Age of Empires. So yeah.
Very cool. All right, Serial, your turn. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us your background a bit here?
Well, yeah, I'm Serial. I go by Serial Shadow Song. I've been playing computer games for, gosh, forever now. Age of Empires is definitely a big influence in where I got my start. MMO's been playing EverQuest 2 for 10 years now as Serial Shadow Song. Um, so with this EverQuest landmark, this is actually my first building game. I never got into the Minecraft, craze.
Yeah, I get you. Same here.
But I'm really enjoying it. It's a neat game. Lately, as you know, I've been just kind of messing around and discovered a few neat bugs playing with them, and we've just been having a lot of fun. Big fan of EverQuest, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. And this is, of course, the time to break things left and right, like you have been. It's been really enjoyable watching you break the skybox and go outside the world, and then well beyond the size of an island, outside past the edge of the world. That stuff has just been hilarious, and pretty informative, I guess, for an outsider that doesn't actually know how the entire system works, to be able to get a better kind of glimpse at how it's all set up and how it all works, and that it really does procedurally generate, to infinity. It just so happens the area that we're working with is actually defined space. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's really funny. I actually streamed for almost 8 hours yesterday, running outside the generated island, and there's Yeah, there's tons of stuff generated outside the map that we're allowed to
It doesn't.
see, and you can
It
get
doesn't
there.
just drop down. I mean, on the map, it looks like it's cut like a cake, right? And it looks like it just drops down to
And then
whatever. It doesn't actually do that.
yeah, well, that's the thing is it gets you down there. But if you've seen from either when I've dug to the bottom of the earth or when he's jumped off the side of the edge of the bounding box thing, you go down far enough and you just get this like blackness and shadowy effect that limits your vision. There's nothing you can access further down there. So now the weird thing though, and this is the funniest thing to me, if you go outside the edge of the world, there's a definitive ground that you can still access. You can't mine it, you can't place things there, but you can, find that it's there. You can see the character kind of bumping up and down a little bit, almost like a very primitive bacteria, like a low light fish or something that all it can see is like light and dark differences, and that's really what it kind of feels like. But you can tell there's something there. When you dig all the way down under the world, there's nothing there. It's an empty nothingness all the way down. If you break rocks, if you mine rocks and they're falling down, they fall down through the world. They just keep on falling.
Wow.
So it's pretty neat. So
Yeah, I'm always fascinated. That's what I love doing. That I used to do something similar to that in WoW. If you remember, before you could use flying mounts in Azeroth, the Eastern Kingdoms in Kalimdor or whatever, they had a whole crap ton of unfinished areas.
yes,
And me and my friend used to love doing the wall walk trick, where you just even though it's a sheer cliff face, they had little tiny invisible edges that you could just walk straight across the cliff. So we would use that and get back behind in those unfinished areas.
yeah.
And yeah, there was a whole like video series based on stuff like that. Like we got into Caverns of Time before it was open, or Mount Hyjal before that was a thing.
Yeah, I remember that sort of stuff. I actually did a little bit of that myself. I remember even in the very beginning, before the game even was released in beta, I was getting up in the hills of the Barrens trying to go through into a different zone, and that was
Yeah.
that was actually where I noticed something really ugly and nasty that has haunted my visions to this day, and that's the harsh transitions from one biome to another.
Oh
It's
yeah.
especially pronounced in WoW, where on one side of a slope you've got one region in their biome, on this side of the slope is another biome, and this kind of seam along the middle, it's very very slight transition if at all. They're just like butted right up against each other, and I didn't notice that until I climbed up there. And then after that, whenever I'd look down while I'm flying on a mount, I would see, holy crap, they really half-assed all of that stuff. Like, you don't go
Yeah.
from desert to jungle in like 5 feet. And that was, my biomes and biodiversity document kind of talks about that sort of thing. That's it's really I hope that they use Landmark as a place to test that stuff out. So it's really nice and next, and going from one biome to another is really nice and smooth. So it doesn't
Well,
it doesn't have that
you see that
weirdness.
though. They're kind of guilty of it a little bit, even in Landmark. There's lots of times where the desert is like right up next to the jungle, or the tundra snow area is right up next to the forest. And normally in like real life, and how you're supposed to do it is there should be like areas of that forest that are kind of snow on the ground, maybe lightly covered. But yeah, you're right. Like that transition into the next zone. Right now, they're just clear. This is tundra and this is old growth forest, and there's no transition between it.
I would forgive that for now because they still don't have all of the biomes and they still don't have all of the island spacing in. So
Right.
they're just putting everything for right now. They haven't. I'm sure the way they're procedurally generating the world, they could design it as such that there is more gradual transition between zones, even biomes that exist purely as transitory biomes, which I think I had also covered in my document, and that would be a really nice feature to have, just to be able to, it's the sort of thing where this tree will exist in this climate, this tree will exist in this climate, and somewhere between those two climates, this other tree will exist that ecologically splits the difference between the two or something.
Exactly. Along with the addition of water, and what the players can do. A lot of players build their houses, in the environment and make it look natural, and that really kind of splits up the world as well. As far as the procedurally generated world, they're not really generating too many props, and that can definitely help as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, Shadow Spawn. 50 died 50 times from doing things that were too difficult, and wow, about sleepwalk to max level. Yeah, I know the feeling. I felt like maybe it was a little more difficult. Of course, I don't know what class were you playing Shadow Spawn. If you were playing a paladin, then everything was a cakewalk because Alliance was uber easy mode OP status.
That's almost true in almost any game. Friggin' paladins are the most OP class in RPGs. It's just how it is.
I think the sorts of limits that they need to have is like, okay, you're a paladin, but 100% of everything you earn has to go to your god or whatever. Like you don't own your equipment. You're like the Knights Templar. Your stuff is provided to you by the church slash state slash whatever
Oh
apparatus.
god, can you imagine the crybabies though over that?
Well, that's a real limiting decision. But if you want that incredible power, you got to have some sacrifices.
I agree, but yeah, that would just be so much crybaby over that.
It'd have to be something you'd have to earn, like the order and chaos things from Ultima Online. You had to have the maximum reputation, and then you could declare yourself order or chaos and open PvP in the world like that.
You know what I miss a lot is the original EverQuest 2 class system, whereas you actually just started off as your generic 4 mage, warrior, rogue, um, and then from there you changed that subtly in whatever direction you wanted to go to eventually end up where you wanted to end up, and sacrifices had to be made to make certain characters, and I think that yeah, well, along the lines of a paladin or sorts, you should be restricted in the type of equipment or things you're able to do, and through religious means, which is
Yeah.
another interesting subject in video games. But exactly,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the topics that I was going to bring up. So with Landmark, we're supposed to be able to build things and make things that really fit, any genre, real world or otherwise. I'm sure people are going to make plenty of holiday content and stuff like Christmas and Halloween and stuff. Um, there's just one problem. There's one particular word that represents both a culture and a religion that happens to be on the hard filter list. That's Jew. Now, I'm Jewish, so it's actually a little offensive to me that they're limiting me from using my own culture's language to cover their asses because CS has so many incidents with it. But where it's actually going to really start to be a problem is when I'm actually making structures and architecture and imagery that represents things from the holidays and I want to label that as such on my claims. I don't know if it's going to read very well if you're looking at a blank 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 temple. Even with the profanity filter off, you're still not going to be able to read it if it censors the word Jew in any variation of it. It even did jeweler, jewelry, and jewel, which since I
Wow,
brought it
really?
to their attention, they're hopefully going to take those off. But
That
yeah, that's
wow.
that's a hard filter right there. Profanity filter on or off. The letters J, E, and W next to each other get filtered. Now, any other variation, you put a space in between anywhere, no problem.
that's
Well, I mean,
insane.
WoW does the same. Or WoW, PlanetSide 2. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. They do something similar. Anything with Igor. So
Yeah, I
even
noticed.
typing trigger,
Yeah.
trigger is bleeped out in PS2. So,
Hey, it's
so yeah,
Slathar.
anything. It's weird.
Trollmart, how's it going? The two of you, I just saw you show up there. Yeah, no, I noticed that. Now that's the thing with PlanetSide 2. The context is a lot more limited. I've made some Hanukkah themed items that didn't quite make it in the game last year. They'll hopefully make it in this year, but they're pretty much on hold in Player Studio. Hey Morgrim, and I don't know, how you represent. Well, this is for Hanukkah. This is for But you can't say Jewish holiday because then it's going to have the J word in it. So it's something
Yeah.
where I feel like it might be one where CS needs to just take one of the chops and deal with it, because it's going to start limiting financial things, especially SOE operates in Israel too. And part of the reason I was trying to get the Hanukkah stuff in last year is because that international money, because I know there's some amount of deep pockets in Israel, and because Player Studio isn't available out there, the only opportunity they'd have to get any Hanukkah content would be from Player Studio. But didn't quite get in time.
That whole subject of censorship is just strikes me as so odd. I mean, I start thinking about like the winter holiday, because people can't use the word Christmas anymore. Are they censoring Christ or
No,
Jesus
no, they're
in
not.
any way?
They're not. No,
like
no other
Christianity.
religion, no religion, and in fact, one that also comes up a lot. I've never seen the game censor jihad. Now, I've never seen any player ever use jihad in the proper context. They're always using it in the horribly offensive context of
Right.
strapping a bomb on a vehicle and blowing other players up with it. And that kind of ignorant herp derpery should really belong with Battlefield and other games. But I feel like that's the sort of thing that if they're gonna hard filter, some of the other words, that's one that is never used in the right context. I've never seen it used in the right context in any
It's just
SOE game.
it really is just a downward slope that they should just not bother going down. Like, just keep you either censor all the words or none of the words. Like that, there is no middle ground on that subject.
Or give me the 2-click profanity filter so I can even unblock fully blocked things that so I can tell somebody, yeah, it's a Jewish synagogue. I built it in the style of such and such in Jerusalem.
I've always thought it was weird in online games in general. It's like if you get offended by something somebody says, almost every single online game has an ignore list. If you don't like what they're saying, put them on your ignore list. You won't see them say it ever again.
Pretty
I never
much.
understood the whole like reporting thing. Like, I want to report you for bad language. It's just a silly rule to me.
It's when it goes beyond harassment that the ignore list can handle when
Right. That
it
I
becomes
agree
an
with.
issue.
Yeah,
But
harassment. Yeah, that's a. I don't. I guess you have to do a lot of verbal harassment before for it to be, to me anyways, to be considered like actual harassment. You're gonna have to be saying a lot of things to do verbal harassment. Saying one word, in a sentence, and then you don't pretty much say any other offensive word for an hour. That's not harassment. But
no.
you can still get reported for that.
True, but they might not. They'll look at the context of everything, and a lot of times they don't seem to take action. MT Stunner, how's it going? FES.
Exactly. With the context of what is being said makes a huge difference, because this is insane. Jews should not be censored. That's absurd.
It is.
The swear words appearing inside of other words, that needs to be fixed as well, or we won't have an assassin class, in
Okay.
EverQuest next.
My favorite in Phantasy Star Online, you could put two profanities together and it wouldn't get them, like shit cunt, for example. It wouldn't block. But if you type Saturday, it would take the word turd out of it. If you type basement, it would take semen out of it. I didn't even realize. I didn't even put two and two together that there was semen in basement until that filter came up. It's like, holy shit, that's hilarious. And
Don't
also,
go in that basement.
yeah,
Yeah.
seriously. Hey Mag, hey Tolmart, how's it going?
That sounds like Omid's basement. You don't want to go down there.
Well, he's got to do something to keep everyone out of his Scotch collection. Okay.
Let's not go down that road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Let's
down
talk about
those
the
two
landmark.
Yeah. So the thing came up about weather. The roundtable response video. Did you guys watch that?
Oh yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So let's talk about that a little. They were talking about what kind of things they actually want weather to be able to do. So my quick list is like erosion, wear, and actually having to put on specific gear for a specific climate. Like you can't just be wearing, badass plate armor and like freezing ice storms. You actually have to have some furs on over that or something. But likewise, if it's nice and hot and you're wearing those furs, not only is it going to cause you to overheat really quickly, and it's going to cause your stamina to drain faster and regenerate slower, but all of that fur in that harsh, dry environment is going to light up really fast when a fireball catches you. So that's the sort of thing I feel like if they really wanted to incorporate more features of how gear works with the environment, that could be, weather could be a great way to do it. But the other thing with weather erosion, and I can't remember who I was talking about. I think it was at least one of you I was talking about with this the other day. Um, the idea that you have a like a stream, for example, and it as it goes along over time, it starts to eat away the area where it's at. Well, the same thing could be true of weather. After maybe 12 continuous hours of 100 damage downpour or rain or whatever over an area, it starts hitting it as if it was being touched up with a smoothing tool, and everything starts kind of reducing just a little bit in that area.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I want weather to be weather. I'm kind of insane, but I want it to do everything that weather does. And they talked about accumulating snow. I want to see, oh man, there's a big storm coming. We're going to get 12 feet of snow, or that sort of thing. And in this voxel world, hey, you could go
Well,
hire someone to remove snow from your claim or something like
that
that.
would be an interesting, yeah, player-made profession right there. Actually, hire a player to come. You pay him 10, EverQuest coins or whatever, or Domo coins maybe. But pay him some Domo coins to come shovel your front lawn or something.
Yeah, there you go. Some way to do it. I mean, the other thing is they could have other environmental effects with the creatures, like just as in real life, when it rains, earthworms and stuff tend to go to the surface so they don't drown. Giant, nasty ass landworms that you only find mining down like half a mile and below might start showing up on the surface in that area.
That'd be cool. Yeah, because they said that they said that would be possible. Maybe not when they first put in mobs, but well, I don't know. I'm not sure how they're going to develop the AI. If like all that advanced AI they want to do with the mobs making decisions and stuff like that, I wonder if that's going to be in on there on day one, or is that something they're going to develop over time? But anyways, yeah, when they put in that smart AI where the monsters actually migrate or whatever, yeah, that would be cool. To like if you mine, if players mine in a particular area for extended amount of time, it wakes up some rock giants or something,
Yeah,
and they now start roaming the area.
yeah. But yeah, for what do you guys think about weather and such?
Um,
Oh, and
well,
real quick, hello, Sil. I haven't seen you before, but hello.
he's been watching my stream.
Oh, cool.
In game, he's Gondor, and yeah, he's been helping me out with my dwarven build a little bit. So
Oh, yeah, I've seen him
yeah.
around.
But one point I wanted to bring up is I saw Tanlin from the Evercast show on Twitter today asking the devs that I didn't see the devs respond, but he brought up a point of, all right, if they do weather, would they ever? It might be too advanced, but would they ever consider doing seasons and having wet seasons, winter, dry, drought type seasons, just like you can be in the same place on your claim, and 1 month have you just torrential rainfall,
wake up.
and then the next month you're in a drought for some reason, like how the weather patterns change basically. That would be cool, but I don't know how possible it would be.
To an extent, that would be neat, but I mean, then that kind of negates any reason to have, the winter biome if it's December in the real world, and then the whole game is covered in snow.
Well, not
Okay,
based
well,
off real world,
keep it
like,
in mind.
timelines,
Keep
but
in
more
mind,
like in game.
there's 20 in-game days for every single real world day. So with that compressed timeline, they can have the seasons, 4 or 5, 10 times a year if they want to.
That's true.
It's an idea. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Back to weather. Some of the things I'd like to see, before I forget, would be like a flash flood or something, rain.
Yeah.
The accumulation of rain. That would be really neat. I'd also
Avalanche.
storms, like lightning strike that might set something on fire, or possibly you get hit by a lightning strike or something. Instant
Well,
death.
one thing I'd be kind of worried about though with the whole flash flood environment is that's cool for the environment to do it, but what if a player does it? What if you have players building? I mean, you could have that could set up the cool thing of a player actually building a dam on a river, right? And it actually pools up the water behind it like real life. But then you also have the griefers. You got to think about the griefers. What if there's a river that meanders or whatever, or there's a lake on top of a mountain, and then some griefer just comes along and mines it out to where all that water now just floods down the valley, and your home happens to be in the valley, and now all of a sudden your whole claim is flooded.
Yeah.
I understand there's a lot of problems with voxel-based water, and I read a little bit about what they're doing with dynamic and static water sources. But I mean I think that griefing is one of the huge reasons why we don't have water in game yet, is because they're afraid of what we're gonna do with it, and they should be.
I just don't think it's ready yet. I just don't think fluid voxels are ready. And I think part of it, I don't know if it's going to be fluid voxels or if it's going to be non-voxel volume.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, is water pressure and making water flow properly is very complicated.
Yeah. Let me say, like, it works okay in Terraria until you dig a trench all the way from the edge of the ocean down to hell, and you flood hell, and then you look at all of the misplaced water blocks and stuff that stop trying to find their way, and you're just, stuck in limbo. Yeah, that stuff is awesome, but it's not, smooth, and it's definitely not intentional. But it looks fun, and it's fun to do.
Yeah, I mean, the rain and flooding thing, that's going to take a long time for them to get that to balance right. But things like what Morgrim said, tornadoes, and then somebody like, well, just natural disasters in the world. It would be interesting to, like, if I don't, because it does it in Minecraft, right? If you make a house out of wood and then your house gets struck by lightning, it can actually catch on fire. That type of thing. So I like their idea where they said it might be something we can toggle, like when we're done building and we want to like publish the quote unquote publish, to where, all right, we're done building and we've set this in the world for players to have. If that publish also includes, all right, now it can be affected by the environment, so windstorms can, blow off your roof or something like that, or have a tree. That would be funny if like blow over a tree and it like falls on your house or something.
Yeah.
Tornadoes sound really cool, and I'm thinking I want, a big old Wizard of Oz twister that'll suck you up and spit you out somewhere else.
Have you seen I don't know if you've seen it, but the Minecraft, there's a couple Minecraft videos where they have like tornado mods, and it's just funny to see like an actual tornado in a Minecraft environment, how it just picks up blocks and just throws them off into the random direction.
No, see, this is where I feel at a huge disadvantage from a lot of the other people playing Landmark. It seems like everybody in Landmark right now came from Minecraft or EverQuest, and a lot more from Minecraft. I came from EverQuest.
Yeah.
Well, you do still have an advantage. I would love to build. Like, I have my Minecraft experience, but I would love to build EverQuest themed buildings, right? but they're, like, the pictures on websites, I feel like they don't do it justice than if you were to actually be in the game looking at all the architecture. I can't. I tried to Google EverQuest. Sorry for the dogs. I'll shut them up in a second. I tried to Google like EverQuest dwarven building, and there's almost nothing. So I can't build dwarven style from EverQuest. So I'm jealous in that extent.
Well, I mean, the games are free to play, so it's not like it's impossible to check the games out. I'm waiting for PlanetSide 1 to go free to play on April 16th when they redo the subscription plans, so that way I can go in and capture all the architecture that I plan to rebuild in Landmark, because that's really the thing for me. I love all the fantasy stuff, but I'm a sci-fi guy. I didn't really play Minecraft, not because I didn't think it was fun, but some other issues I'm not really going to get into. But it's really interesting seeing the different people coming into it. I even come into it less from the EverQuest because I didn't really play EverQuest, and less from Minecraft because I didn't really play Minecraft. I'm a procedural generated games enthusiast. I love them, and the fact that Landmark is, basically taking the best and brightest features of Terraria and going, leaps and bounds further in a 3D environment, that's what's so exciting about it for me. Like that's where I come from with it.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Now,
definitely.
when-
The
when you
technology.
Sorry.
go ahead.
Well, I was just saying the technology that they've been able to accumulate for this game, it's amazing. It seems like they've just taken the best of everything and rolled it all together, and they've come up with a Landmark, and it's great. We're loving it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, there's a lot of people not loving it though because they're not builders. Like as Neuro sees whenever he does the castles and crap shacks.
Crap
it's like
shacks.
there some people. I don't know what it is. It's like it can't. They can't all be. They just bought into the Landmark Alpha or whatever that week. There has to be, and they also can't all be like, oh, I don't have enough time to play.
There's crap shacks on new islands. There's crap shacks on new islands, right next to the hub, right on the nice, awesome peaks.
Yeah.
Nothing on them. Some of them are just dirt farms, not even with equipment. So
It really does seem like some people don't even try. I imagine most people are just amazed that it's like, hey, this is an MMO and I can change the terrain, any way I want. I just don't know why they think, hey, let's go up to the top of a mountain and then cut the whole top of the mountain off and then just build a little dirt square. What?
I'm sorry. Did you say a derp square? Because that's pretty much what it is. Derp.
I don't want to insult somebody. They may have built, spent a lot of time on their square dirt.
Yes, that's a new category of material, derp voxels.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I not come from a building game, but I spent 30 minutes maybe the other day and was able to get up a decent looking wood house, this little pyramid with an archway, and I even built like a little tree house, going into maybe an hour and a half into it. And the tools are really powerful. It's really easy to get lost playing with them, but you can build some really neat things.
Crap Shack Island. Yeah, MT.
There are some Crap Shack islands where there is like nothing good on them.
Yeah, and that's actually something I'd love to have as an option to hide claims with like 5% modification. If the only modification they've done is destroying the natural area that can be destroyed with the heal brush or restored with the heal brush, that I only count as 1% modification to the claim. If they fill in, maybe 10,000 voxels, or maybe even 5,000 voxels or whatever, that's at the point where I would actually consider it above 5% construction, that the person's actually done something with it. But if all those voxels are just in one giant stone sheet, once again, that's just one action they've taken. That's not really much variety. I would probably kick that back down below that kind of 5% threshold. But I'd love to be able to set it up in such a way that it'll just ignore crap shacks if you want it to, and you can just, physically have those claim flags disappear until you toggle that feature back on and never have to load
Well,
the crap shack or anything.
well, they did say, or at least I thought I remember them saying that we will be able to hide certain people's claims from view, and like they might still be like the square might still be there on the map when you bring it up, but visually you won't see anything on their claim if you don't like that. It'll like I thought they said we will be able to hide. 'Cause that way it will prevent somebody from like trolling you. If you're trying to stay to a certain theme or something, and then somebody puts a claim within sight distance of yours, and they just build a giant phallic structure or something like that. If you don't want to see that and have that in your horizon, I thought they said we would be able to hide that eventually.
I hope so. I'm pretty sure that'll be a feature at some point. Um, that'd be nice.
Shadow Spawn brings up upkeep in the chat, which I think we'll get rid of a few of them, but we'll see.
Too few. Too few. People will keep doing that and keep paying their upkeep just because, oh man, eventually I'm going to build something awesome here. And then they just log in once a week to do the maintenance and never do
Well,
anything.
at least the I don't know if I didn't remember if they said there was going to be downvoting, but the whole upvote system, at least that will kind of save you some time when you do the castles and crap shack thing, or anyone else does exploration shows or live streams, so they can just sort. All right, this one's received, a 5-star rating or whatever. Let's go there and look at it. Why did it receive a 5-star rating? It's most likely going to be good.
Right.
Whereas the crap shack's only going to get 1 star if anything, and so people know. All right, well, we're not going to go there.
Yeah.
Right, that would be really neat if they incorporated that with the idea that you could turn on and off certain people's claims and just give you like a drop-down menu. Hey, I only want 1-star claims visual in my version of, yeah. Exactly.
Likewise, I'd also love to have a feature where somebody on their claim can define an area as a point of importance. And if their claim gets rated high enough, that point of importance will actually draw from further out than other things. Or maybe even have like a 16 angle snapshot. So if you're way far in the distance, you just see basically a low res kind of distance photo of it in the place where it actually is until you get close enough for it to render. But so that way, if you've got some really awesome city like the one that Lethality Group is working on right now, that's got the 25 claims or whatever attached together, being able to see the giant gold globe on the top of the that tower in the middle from further away than anything else would be a really nice feature to be able to have, so that way it actually becomes its own physical landmark. And that's honestly where a lot of things in particularly in like Europe and the Middle East in ancient times, they would build these giant structures that would be as tall as possible for the specific purpose that people could see them from a long ways away and use them as landmarks.
Ironically.
Yeah, well, landmark's a good name for it.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely need to do something. Sorry, I had a thought and then it went right out.
Whoops. That happens. I've got a notepad handy in case anything like that comes up for me. But that's mostly what I'm going off here is the notepad. So do you guys have anything else? We had talked about weather, hiding claims, points of importance, because there's plenty of other stuff that I'd like to cover too. But just wanted to
I
check.
think we talked it out, or talked that subject to its death, at least for now.
All right, give me just a second here. So yeah, type plus prime, and that should enter you here in a prime grappler drawing, which I have 2 of that I'll be giving out today. Bad guy, hey, how's it going? Zag, how's it going? Zag, he's gonna be a guest on next week's episode.
Nice. Yeah, only 10, maybe 10 at most, really. 10 more days to use the grappler, guys.
Yep. So.
Yeah, so do you guys think that the 31st is when we're going to hit beta, or, there was a little bit of hinting there in the live show that it might be sooner than that? I mean, they've said on or before.
Well, considering here's the theory. All right, not confirmed theory. Considering the 31st is on a Monday,
Yeah.
and they said they usually do their patches on Wednesdays and Thursdays at the latest, more than likely, if they do it this month, it'll be the 26th or 27th. That,
If it's a Monday, if they do it on the 31st, what I expect is going to happen is like, all right, servers are going down at 11:59, and then we're going to begin beta on like the second or whatever when our get the patch through. Meanwhile, there's going to be over 24 hours of downtime, so everyone can decompress for a day, and oh yeah, so we can do all the stuff to patch and test out the patch. So the absolute first day of beta will be as smooth as possible, because we'd really hate to bring all those new people in with the $20 settler packs and have all of them have their experience ruined because we have the patch installation blues again. So that could be a really good way to do it if they're still planning to patch it on and get it in on a Wednesday, is just basically give us a day of downtime.
yeah, but I don't know if they would. I mean, given they probably don't really care that much, but they try to avoid the backlash as much as possible, and any team would. But if they did it on Monday the 31st, and then the actual like people getting in to play didn't happen until like the second or third or something like that, you're gonna get lots of people crying saying you lied to us, even though they're only a couple days off.
Well, no, technically for marketing purposes, if they officially end alpha on the 31st, anytime on 31st Pacific time, they're still keeping to their marketing obligations and they're not in violation of anything. Now, they don't have to give anyone access to beta initially. It's something that they can dish out in waves if they want to, so they could really limit most of us. They could limit 90% of us if they wanted to, and enter us in incrementally. They're not going to do that, but they can. It's one of those things. They have the power. it's their
Yeah,
decision.
I mean, yeah, they're a multi-million-dollar company. They can they can do whatever they want. It's just I'm sure they just hate having to deal with all those the whiners that say, oh, you're a couple days late. So
Oh no! SOE
'cause
failed to deliver on a deadline.
well, I think it was Total Biscuit who I heard him say this a while ago, but it's always the ones that are angry that are heard the most, right? So like all the people like us, we're like, if they're a little bit late, that's okay. It's polished, but we're not out there, actively saying that, right? Well, some people are, but most of the time, people who don't really care that they're a couple days late, we're not saying anything. We're waiting patiently. But the ones who do care that they're late are just going off off their nut, just
Yeah.
constantly spamming. So
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. Like, if it was kind of funny for me on the Landmark Live show. They were talking about trying to track down old copies of the PC Gamer. And by the way, I have an extra copy of the EQ Next and Landmark PC Gamer signed by the team front and back that I'll be giving away once I get up to 1,000 followers. That's gonna be a while though, so don't expect that to go out anytime soon. But they're saying about getting those 1 week beta keys from that, and I'm thinking to myself, well, shit, someone can just click on the Founders Pack link on my Twitch page, and use that link to buy the promotional version of the Settlers Pack for $20, which not only gets them beta access, but it also credits my account as having gotten them into the game, so I get access to more grappler codes and other things to give away to people. So, yeah, I
So,
don't.
yeah, let's mention now then that they did also say during the live stream that if you purchase your beta invite now, you will get in when they start. Versus if you wait until after they start, you might not get in for a couple days.
Yep.
So do so now and give Neuro your credits.
Yep. Also, it's a great gift if you know anybody who you really want to be able to be in the beta. You can click on the Founders Pack link at the bottom of my Twitch page and send them a gift by making the transaction there. Do I sound all like job-headed, like specifying in that way? I should clarify. People who are like the special insiders with SOE who actually get their streams up on the landmark page. We actually have the special thing going on where we get a promotional code. If people buy founders packs through our promotional code, every 5 we get more grappler packs to give away, or grappler codes, and I think that's going to be closed beta keys when the grappler codes are done. And then if you get a certain amount, you get more trailblazers and explorers and settlers and stuff to give away. You get even enough. You get SOE staff will actually be on the stream, get even more, and they'll send you to SOE headquarters for a tour from Dave Georgeson, which would be like my 3rd tour of SOE, actually like my 5th tour of SOE, but it'd totally be cool anyway. And I think the highest number is you even get might even get to SOE Live. So I'm planning to go to SOE Live anyway. I often do panels, and now that I've become an uber elite broadcaster, I feel like I could probably do a solid panel on getting people set up with OBS.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, in SOE Live, that's August 14th through 17th at Planet Hollywood. The tickets are not available. When they are, they go fast, so be sure to get one. And oh yeah, it's still 147 days out, so you can still get pretty prime hotel rates from Planet Hollywood right now, or other places. But that's the venue they've selected, and seems like it's a pretty nice establishment. So better
Does it
staying
come with
there.
free drinks?
Yeah, you get 3 free drink tickets for the pool party. Plus, Omid's gonna have the special Scotch party, which I'm sure you don't have to pay for, because that's all coming from donations to his stream. And they had a champagne toast for the EverQuest Next keynote last year. So yeah, there is booze. If you want the real premium stuff, you actually have to buy it on your own, though. They still don't have kick-ass microbrews and stuff in most of the hotels. But fear not, there's plenty of stores around where you can get stuff. And because Las Vegas is an open drinking area on the Strip, you can just walk from place to place, drink in a brown bottle or whatever. You don't have to bag it or anything. People won't even look at you funny. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm really hoping I can get out there this year. I also got to mention this is the year of EverQuest, so I imagine they've probably got some tricks up their sleeve this year, and should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, they got me out the last 2 years for PlanetSide 2, and now they've got me all hooked on the idea of making all sorts of crazy sci-fi stuff in landmarks. So, I'm probably going to keep on going out to the SOE Lives. I never went to a fanfare, but when they switched it over to SOE Live and PlanetSide 2 was on the horizon, I said hell yes, and I've been enjoying them so far. They're awesome. So, go ahead.
I've never been to a gaming event. Like I want to go to one so bad. I never have really the money to afford to go there. I've heard it's at least a couple $100, for planes, for hotel, for eating and stuff while you're there. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's not too. I mean, they feed you 2 of the nights with the banquet dinners, and those are pretty good.
I guess I could always team up with somebody and mooch off them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could also, since you've been live streaming, set up a donate button on your page, and if people like your stuff, they'll potentially throw some money at you. And
oh, I would. I have a weird thing. I don't like. I feel so bad. I mean, I know there's nothing wrong with it, but I just feel like that's so wrong. It's just a personal feeling, really. I feel
fair.
like I'm not doing anything special. Everyone who watches me can do everything I'm doing. Why am I?
Yeah, that's true. Let them pay you in game with station cash through purchases of your awesome stuff. And once they cut you that second quarter check for all the awesome stuff that you've built and they've purchased in Player Studio, then you can throw a little bit of that mighty epic loot that you're going to be cashing in towards SOE Live access. Yeah, it's a good time though. I hope you guys can come out to it. So something I forgot to talk about earlier when I was talking about that points of importance is something else like really, really missing. Almost every first person game that I play, there's some way to zoom in. Some binoculars or a scope or something. Farsight. We have nothing like that right now. Do you feel like maybe they've kept it out because
It,
it's just going to be constant loading status because you're going to be looking at things in the distance and everything has to draw in and load at that point?
yeah, exactly. Until they fix the draw distance, I don't think they should put anything of that in. So, I mean, it depends on what. I imagine they could. They'll do the same thing of, kind of like you can kind of have the best of both worlds. Binoculars but some people might not like that because that's not fantasy based. So some people might like a spell. Well, WoW got away with that by doing the Gnomish engineering goggles or whatever that had the while you were wearing the goggles, they gave you the Farsight spell, so you could look off into the distance. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. They could easily do something like that.
Yeah. I just want to have something like that so I can go to a high peak and then use the binoculars or whatever and spot all of the crap shacks in the distance and mark them off my map so I know not to go there.
Because, like I said, because of the draw distance, everything looks like a crap shack. In the
Well, no,
distance.
that's why I would want some binoculars so I could just go to a peak and instead of having to run in this gigantic circle, I can spot them all from one location. I don't care about the render time and the draw time to have to zoom into each of those individual locations. It saves me a lot of time because I don't have to run to each one too.
Right.
I
The
would
actual
moreover like to
programming.
see. Sorry, I was just thinking. I was just thinking it would be. I would moreover like to see people in the distance, at least name tags, so that way I could be like, if they don't want to work on the rendering thing, I would like to see the person's name and be like, send that person to tell it, hey, does that look cool over there?
Yeah. What were you saying about the programming, Serial?
Right. Regardless of how they go about writing the program for either tricking the system into thinking that you are actually where you're trying to look in order to getting it to render properly or whatever they have to do. The idea of a telescope or binoculars in this game is crafting exploration totally makes sense, and I would definitely want something like that.
Yeah, and it'd be nice as a hard prop too, so you can have a giant telescope on the top of a claim, so you come up there and you can kind of peer off in the distance to one fixed location.
Well, no, something what is it, the top of the Empire State Building in New York, or really any kind of tall building? They got the looking goggles on the roof or whatever.
With 25-cent things, yeah.
Well, that's what you should do, really. If you build on top of a mountain, put some of those down and charge people to look into the distance.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Right. Big telescope on top of some mage tower, studying the astronomy of the sky or something. Be
That'd
really
be
neat.
awesome.
25 cents to study. That'd be pretty cool. So, transparency. It's been a subject that's been talked about more recently. It's a
Gimme.
point of discussion on the rise. Now, there's three ways that they can do transparency. One of them is transparent voxels, and voxels that are glassy and crystalline and otherwise that you can see through. The second way is props. It would be a sheet of glass of different proportions, and you scale it up to fit whatever you need it for. And potentially, instead of just a square, there might be other glass shapes that you can use as well in order to put it in exactly as you need it. And those two, both the props and the voxel version, could use a very similar material set, so that way you can have them utilize them in the same space. So maybe for the large space you have the prop, but maybe the little detail work around it you have the voxel, like some micro voxel versions.
Well, they should definitely do both because by nature, props are more detailed than voxels. So I do think that they should do some prop windows that are really detailed, have nice frames, have nice, some have panels, maybe do some. I know some people are doing,
Well,
the voxel art, like stained glass windows, but they should still make some stained glass windows, kind of like pictures, and then also do the voxels, because
yeah.
props you can only shrink and grow props to be X amount of size. So if somebody wanted to make like a really big glass wall or something, you would have to make that out of voxels.
Yeah, but the other thing with that is the props actually don't have to be that complex. Like if you're going in Maya and you say, okay, give me a plane that draws on both sides, that's got four corners, and make it a prop. That's going to be the most low impact possible prop. And because it's going to be completely flat as a plane, you can scale it as much as you need to, and there's not going to be any problem because the thickness isn't going to be adjusted at all. It'd be really nice to have specific set fancy windows. I'm just talking about having a flat pane of glass that you can stuff into a wall and call it a window.
Yeah, I think both is the way that they're gonna go, and it's a terrible oversight to see that there is nothing we can use as a window in game right now. I mean, we're building houses, we need windows, but I'd like to see like a voxel perfect ice or something,
Yeah.
that was transparent. And as far as props go, yeah, prop windows that we can scale up and down. I've used the Void Vault as kind of a window because it's the only semi-transparent thing we have, and it's really neat looking. Some of the stuff people have built with the Void Vault being built into stuff, but that's all we have right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned this to Neuro the other day, but I thought it would be interesting, and I don't know how possible it is to do with the engine, but I really thought it'd be interesting if they took a note kind of from Photoshop and basically have each voxel, or at least be able to select an area of voxels, and then when you right click on it or something, one of the options that you can, properties that you can change for the voxel is a transparency slider, right? Or an opaqueness slider or whatever. So that way you can basically turn any voxel, any material into a transparent material. But I don't know how possible it is.
Now, there's a third thing that I mentioned, but we haven't talked about yet, and that's doing it as a non-voxel, non-prop volume that you would define vertex. You would define the vertices for the volume in game, and it might only be restricted to convex shapes, or you might be able to have fully complex with convex and concave features to it. But you define a volume as points in the world and tell it to fill, and that will be how it works. Now, I would say not just for glass, but that would also be how I'd expect water to work, and maybe some other sorts of materials and substances. I feel like that would potentially give us the most power, and because it's not drawing a prop, it's not drawing voxels, but it's instead dealing with more or less a simple particle system. Or maybe even something simpler than that. I feel like it would be a potential way that they could go with it and have it have a lot more detail and specificity available than the current voxel version. It would also allow people to do really awesome stuff with glass that you wouldn't be able to do with any other material, which unfortunately might then be make all the other materials look kind of limited. So I'm not really sure how they would like that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that there's a potential to kind of destroy what the current materials are with something like that, but I think the idea of selecting an area and then filling it with some sort of particle effect would be really neat, and there's tons of applications that could be used for that, especially if it was, it's a particle effect that we could adjust whether or not we could move through it and just make little floaty crystals or, butterflies like from the bushes, if that was a separate, something along those lines.
My thoughts on it is yes. Give me it. Like particle effects. I don't really care what form they come in. Just give me them.
Yeah.
They could be. I really don't care.
I'm with you there. Yeah, particle,
Because
because the sci-fi stuff, that's really going to be big time, and fantasy stuff too. Anything magical, particles are the best
yeah,
way to represent it.
well, I mean, you've been to my claim. You've seen how people can take anything and turn it into other things, like any of the prompts that we have. So if they did particle effects, you would see some really interesting uses of the particle effects, no doubt.
For sure, for sure. I'm really looking forward to that sort of stuff when they do start cutting it in, because right now, our access to particle effects, and you've demonstrated this quite a bit on your own streams, it's really limited. We only have one thing that kind of looks like it's flowing and falling for the most part, and that's isn't that dirt out of the wood chipper or something?
No, it's the particle effects that I know of is obviously the smokes out of the crafting stations, the dirt, coming out of the bottom of the sifter,
The sifter,
which
yeah.
was just a complete accident that I found that out one day when my first stream is when I found that out. But yeah, if you turn a sifter upside down, the dirt falling out of it kind of looks like water falling. And so, yeah, some people could easily use that. But then the only other particle effect that I know of is the butterflies on two of the plants that you can make out of the forge. And then obviously the sawmill has the sparks coming out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to use those sparks for something. I haven't figured out what, though. Because it's hard to hide that big giant sawmill in a wall or something and to have the sparks shooting out.
It would probably have to be something like on the ground where the stuff is all under the ground. You just see like little sparks and maybe little parts of the blade here and there.
Yeah.
This makes me think of an interesting subject. Is we're all in alpha and we're all doing all this crazy stuff. We're building all these crazy things and we're doing everything completely wrong. I'm so excited to see where we go, and when beta comes and we get all these new people, I'm excited to see what some of these other people can do. As new features get added, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's that's something I've been saying since the very start, since before the game was released, that we need fly mode. We need fly mode immediately, because otherwise everyone's going to spend the entire alpha and however much of the beta building things the wrong way, building things the bad way, building things the slow way, rather than if you've got fly mode. And actually beyond fly mode, I want wisp mode. I want you to just be this little one pixel thing so you can get in tight narrow spaces, because right now it's really cumbersome to delete a wall so you can fill this little section and then place the wall back where you previously deleted it. That's it's hilarious and kind of silly to have to do that, but the ability to just be this little floating pixel that can go wherever you need to go and do whatever you need to do from there makes a hell of a lot more sense for the context of a builder.
I would also like to see a sort of god mode build, not like material resource wise, just like an over the top map view that you can build in with its own sort of bigger size tools, so we can lay out houses in different shapes easier from the map over the top.
well, like Age of Empires, basically.
I was gonna say
Yeah, something
SimCity
like
view,
that, yeah.
Or SimCity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That is really annoying when you go to place. If you've ever like templated an entire building and you try to place that in the camera angles that you have right now,
Oh god,
it's almost impossible to line it up right. I mean, thank God we now have the tweak mode so we can do that. But yeah, it would be nice if we can actually place buildings down in the map. So that way we can line it up on the overhead view perfectly.
I hate that name for it, tweak mode. Call it professional mode.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was bothering me.
Tweak mode. Come on. Call it professional mode. Call it builder mode. Call it, safe placement mode. But tweak mode, like, it just it's a funny word. It's a funny word. I'll just leave it at that.
For such an awesome ability, basically.
It's like you might as well have called
mode.
You might as well have called the heal tool the squiggly morph. Now,
The fiddly
the
button.
fiddly button, yes. Now, going back to the idea that you were saying about a zoomed out view, I actually really like that, like an urban planning view, because that would not only
Yeah.
allow you to do your like large claim management really easy and just place your claims down and handle the permissions from a glance a lot easier, but also being able to do things like more actively build up the terrain using we have the heal tool and that can rebuild damaged terrain, but I want to be able to just have it naturally build up terrain in an
This like The
area.
Sims.
Yeah,
The Sims was really good on that. When if you bought like a big plot of land or whatever, yeah, you could really get into some landscaping with that. That would be nice to have in Landmark.
and that actually goes back to SimCity itself. You could even terraform the region. I think SimCity 2000, you could terraform the entire region before you even started the game, so you could set up all the features and natural environments and stuff that you want to have.
Yeah.
So, really cool stuff. Especially, I can see somebody wanting to maintain the hilly look that they're on, but maybe extend it out a little. So instead of being dug into the mountain, they've got this like natural kind of low peak that they formed on their own that they've built their house on. That way, you can turn like real trash property areas into some actual nice stuff.
Yeah. And being
Yeah.
able to do that from the map would be the key thing.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be that urban planning view, that giant view zoomed back with the overhead. Not as far back as the actual map when you press M, but maybe you can zoom it back that far if you need to, just to see it in the context of everything.
It depends on how big your city is.
Yeah, that's true.
You could build like a city the size of Minas Tirith, and then you're gonna need that big zoom out.
Or if you're building a bridge that's just 10 claims long, it's just this giant bridge
That-
slash wall or whatever.
There's some ideas of I know people would do it, linking like mountaintops to mountaintops, by making long bridges like that. Yeah.
So, as far as building tools, I would really like to see when you're talking about the landscaping and being able to add to the world itself. I'd really like to see like a pinch and pull feature where we can just grab stuff and pull it around and it'll fill in that area.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, agreed.
smart tools for that sort of stuff. If you're dealing with just a single voxel in a volume, and being able to do that would be lovely. Or a very predictable pattern, like if I've got an alternating 3x3x3 pattern, to be able to just grab that and then it'll snap to 6x6 and then maybe 9x9 or 12x12 or whatever multiples it needs to. But it would have to be something that's a really context-based tool, I think, to function properly. But yeah, that would be awesome.
I mean, we kind of have that with the line tool, but not to the specificity that
Yeah.
I want, you know.
Dolomart, what the hell? You're going to build yourself a wife. That's awesome.
Yes, and she has torque mode.
Torque mode. Yeah, that's I know there's a push to get /O twerk in the game, so
I still want the Trendane swirl.
the Trendane twirl.
That would be great with the eyes crossing and everything.
Yeah.
For now, I would be happy with a stop dancing. Do we have that yet?
Yeah, it's
'Cause-
front
Yeah,
slash
stand.
stand.
Okay, /stand now.
Yeah. Now that's the thing that I found was really funny earlier when they were doing the recording for the broadcast on the giant the giant 25 claim thing. I found the funniest thing. If you put on dance or any other sort of non-standing still motion, you press period to go into walk mode, you automatically have instant swagger about you. And you just, slowly, casually dancing
Yeah, I
forward.
noticed that too.
I have not seen that yet.
It's awesome.
A lot of the emotes kind of overlap, and I love that. Like if you do /sad and then /junk, junk. Wow, drunk. You have drunk and sad, and your face kind of just contorts kind of weirdly, and you're just kind of moping around. But like your upper body is sad and moping, but then your legs are kind of just wandering, wobbling everywhere. It's really weird looking. But yeah, a lot of the emotes like overlap like that, and it's pretty.
Yeah,
funny.
we don't need that as an emote. We just need S emote, and then we'll have the drunk sad. No.
There's going to be some people getting into trouble with SOE emote. We all know it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, as soon as Trendane does that one face that he does, that's gonna break the cameras. Yeah. Oh, Trendane, that guy's hilarious. So, something that I've noticed a lot of times on castles and crap shacks, and it's actually a feature that I kind of want. When I come to a place and it's not fully rendered and it's got this like rough, things are kind of in their, approximately where they are, but they're not in the right shape, sort of thing. That still loading in, old 56K loading in the lines of resolution on a bitmap, sort of thing. Uh, I actually want to be able to do that. Have a de-render tool that can take an area and make it look like a rough, unrendered version of it.
I mean, I've seen, we've all seen it, so I get what you're saying, but because that's kind of like, breaking your own game if they were to do that, like, because it's almost like reversing all the hard work that they're doing. They're trying to make the game more, pretty and optimized and stuff like that, and then you're asking for a tool that is anti that.
Well, yeah, let us selectively, not necessarily break an area, but tell the game, hey, this section of the claim, don't bother to finish rendering it to its final point. Leave it rough and rugged. Now, the other thing is, it seems like it does it differently every time you go to a claim, that it'll redraw from low res to high res differently every time. So that'll allow some amount of like a dynamic element to a finished claim, is that you come back to it every time and the pattern on the ground changes. Everything else is fine, but the pattern on the ground, the colored blocks and the detail and stuff, gets all randomized and kind of mashed up in a really cool way, because that's all been set to stay at the low render level. And that also allows for like a large space like just the ground, for example, to not have to take as long to draw in as everything else. So that'll be done quicker and you'll be able to walk around a little bit quicker, or it'll otherwise just be less impact on rendering the whole place.
Well, I'm trying to think like an easier way to do it. Maybe not a de-render tool. Maybe just like the ability to toggle that on and off on your claim.
Yeah.
That might be easier for them to do. But then again, if you don't want your whole claim doing it in specific areas, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just like any other tool or thing in the game. It's if they put it in, people would use it in creative ways. So yeah, I guess I'd be for that.
Yeah, it gives us a feature we don't really have. Searial, what are your thoughts on it? Inexplicably gone to child aggro. He'll be back. Yeah, that was something we were kind of working out and trying to figure out what's going to happen over the past few days, because child aggro is definitely a thing for him. So, yeah. I'm glad that
I don't know why he just doesn't stick them in a closet.
Yeah, right.
Get in there. Here's a fruit roll up. Just stay in there for an hour.
Did they still make fruit roll ups?
I probably. He might have to do some hunting for them. It might be some like 7-Eleven or something that carries them.
I don't know. Like that stuff always just seemed like flavored pear gelatin or something. It was weird. I ate the heck out of it as a kid when I was in like 3rd grade, I think. Fruit roll-ups.
Yeah.
So
I remember eating them in elementary school.
So let's
Fruit roll-ups, huh?
Yeah, hey, welcome back. Yeah, so we were talking about the de-render tool. Did you catch any of that part?
I caught a little bit of it. The de-render tool, it sounds interesting. I, I'm just not sure how people would use it, you know?
Well, yeah, no one would be sure how somebody would use it, but we've all seen what people have been using the current tools, in the game to build. Somebody would somewhere would find an interesting use for a tool like that. So that's
Oh
the
yeah,
only reason
I'm
why I'm
all
saying
for
that they
more
should do it.
buttons. Give us as many features as they can fit in the game, and people will hit those buttons.
And actually, now that I think about like a melt tool or a smear tool or something, so I could make
I would love a smear tool. Yeah.
like a tool where I can, I'll make a full clock or whatever, and I'll cut off the top half. Then the bottom half, I just hit it with the melt tool a whole bunch of times till it's melting over the side of something. Then I put the top half of it on, melt it a few times, and say, "Bam, Salvador Dali."
Yes, exactly.
I
I
would love to
definitely
have that.
on the somewhat similar subject. I definitely would love a more like a different paintbrush tool. Like I was about to say like a more precise one, but no, people might like the whole thing of like with the smooth tool. People might like the current paintbrush tool, but I find it really annoying that how it when you're running low on resources, how it it's painting the voxels behind the surface. So it's
Yeah.
like it's using your resources on voxels that no one's ever going to see anyways. I would really like a paintbrush tool that is just the surface voxels.
Yeah,
So
and that's people have gotten pretty good with circumventing that with the selection tool. You select the area that you want, and then you use the paint. But that only
yeah,
works for
you
flat
can do
areas.
it, but it's still annoying to have to
Ang-
select first.
Angles are where it gets screwed up the most,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's where a lot of my upside down floating pyramids and stuff have a lot of the trouble. That's why I'm just going with the polished granite this time around, so I don't have any of those issues to deal with. Yeah. All right. So it's 6:30. I've gone through all the list of things that I specifically wanted to talk about. Now, you guys, is there anything in particular that you guys wanted to talk about or mention or rant about? Or actually, I do have one more thing now that I think about it. So it's the year of EverQuest. Yeah, we got the shirts and everything, and the thing for me, 15 years later, seeing the reimagining of the original EverQuest painting, uh, it really hurt to see it because I just see like, well, okay, you still got like the the males are in the what's it called they're looking all heroic out there and badass, but the female characters are still sexy. Like why can't we move on from that 15 years later now that it's actually a subject people talk about? Now, of course, I understand that painting was just a reimagining of the original painting, but the use of sexualization and sexualized imagery in video games, particularly fantasy and sci-fi, well, everything actually, it's I feel like it kind of cheapens the product because it's almost saying, "Hey, we can't sell this without putting a pair of boobs on the front." And that's really not the case with the EverQuest franchise. They don't need to do that anymore. They've covered up Fiorina a little bit. She's got, only a little bit of areas where flesh is sticking out instead of a lot of them. But it still doesn't make sense to me why she isn't wearing like, fully protective armor like the males are wearing. The idealized heroic male versus the idealized sexualized female.
Or at least go, like I said earlier, either do them all or do none. It kind of applies here. It's like if you're going to have the quote unquote sexy females, why not wear some shirtless dudes up there? At least swing both ways of the pendulum.
Right.
Or if you're right. If you're going to have guys in full armor, yeah, have some women in full armor. So
Yeah, you know what? Serial now wants to, go shirtless and man thong. That's how I want to look in Landmark. But seriously, this is kind of, the sexualization of women in video games is kind of it's sad, but I mean, we see that in almost every MMO, especially, the fantasy genre and whatnot. We see the lower level, cloth robes. The female mage is fully dressed or whatever. You get the top tier best gear in the game, and all of a sudden it's just like a pair of pasties and a thong.
Yeah.
That's basically what if anyone's played WoW during vanilla, there was a very famous paladin armor that was like on male characters. It was complete plate mail from head to toe. On females, it was that, like you just said, it was just pasties on the boobs and a metal bikini. Like,
Yeah.
what the heck went there? Like, it's like a lot of women gamers were like saying, "Where did the rest of my armor go?" Like, they felt like somebody stole the armor that was supposed to go there.
Yeah.
Actually, in EverQuest 2, the Queen of Kinos is Antonia Bale, and it was a couple years ago now. They did a whole remake of both the starter cities in Kinos, and they redesigned her, and she was wearing, like a bikini and a belly shirt, armored or whatnot. And now she looks like a queen. She's got her hair up in buns, and she's wearing these regal robes and whatnot. But before, she looked kind of like a stripper.
Well, I'm glad that they made that aesthetic change, and I really like that they're going to be giving us the options in game, in at least with Next, that if you've got the whatever plate armor set that you're wearing, you can choose: do I want to go with the ultra sexualized version? Do I want to go with the ultra badass fully armored version? You can pick and choose. So that's actually pretty accommodating to male and female, because you can choose. Yeah, okay, I want to do the whole like Zed from Zardos thing, where it's just me wearing a big red G-string and a couple red bandoliers to match it, and looking like Burt Reynolds, and that's how I roll.
I would also like to see that worked in with like the filtering for your personal view, so that we can filter like, hey, I don't want to see any naked people, or hey, declothe everybody or whatnot, like a de-res for clothing sort of thing, or a scaled down, less cumbersome model.
They fall under like parental controls,
Right, something like advanced parental controls.
Yeah, you just turn on parental controls and you don't see any half nakedness.
Yeah, they could definitely do that. That would be. I think parental controls probably would be the place in the interface where it would go. That would make sense. But then likewise, I guess people would be asking, well, where's the option to have like the fully nakedest version where it's the most skimpiest? And, SOE would have to calmly tell those people to go find a different game to play.
Go play Age of Conan if you want that.
Or,
Yeah.
I honestly I've seen so many ads on Facebook for these games that try to be sexy, and they look like they're probably just the shittiest of games.
If you have
It's
to
sad. Yeah,
resort
would
to
you see one of those
that
banners?
hypersexualized style, yeah.
Sorry, would you see one of those banners and it's like, click now, play for free, and it's just a big pair of boobs, and like
Yeah.
there's no female face even. It's like, what are we playing?
Or the worst one, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, no names.
I'm not going to give the name, but all of the ads I've seen for it are girls dancing in scanty clothes, taking their clothes off to take a shower, all sorts of stuff like that, and it's blah blah blah. You're the so-and-sos are waiting, make a hero now, or something like that. It's like, what the fuck? You're basically all but softcore porn as your ads. And I was seeing these on EQ Nexus for a while too. Like, they don't have control. They don't have control over their side ads. So it's gonna be what it's gonna be. But I look in the corner and this is full like 2-minute video of this rendered Korean girl taking her clothes off and taking a shower. It's like,
I mean, they hit the double entendre with the one you're describing. They hit the double entendre. Not only are the females like hypersexualized, they're also playing on the card of you have to go rescue them.
it's terrible. So you know about the product more than I do. I'm not going to ask why.
No,
Yeah.
I'm assuming most of the time.
Yeah, probably.
That's
You're
how it
probably
is.
right that it is the whole like damsel in distress sort of plot line. Yeah, that's it. It's disgraceful.
Why is it never a big bearded dude up in the tower? Oh, help me!
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man. I just imagine Trendane at the top of a tower. Oh, save me!
But yeah, I think
That's
it
great.
does come from that whole that fantasy medieval damsel in distress chivalry sort of like they try to play off that with they're also trying to get young boys to play their game or whatever it is. But that's kind of wrong. I mean, there's been a huge shift in what gaming is and who games,
Yeah,
nowadays. And I know tons of female gamers, and it is sad when
and
they have to like use lower level gear or show off, their tune.
I mean, the whole thing is changing. It's not just females too. Like more and more women are playing, but it's also older people. Like there's lots of 50, 60, 70 year olds playing video games now. So
Yeah, the entire demographic has really changed, and they kind of still pander or try to market to this audience that I don't think is really their audience anymore.
like
yeah.
I could
Well,
see that it was kind of needed, 10, 20 years ago, because yeah, like the genre was, the society as a whole kind of viewed you're a gamer, oh, you're in your mom's basement. Like it was still kind of like what's the term, like back, I don't know, but now it's more the opposite of mainstream, because now it's turning into mainstream with these gaming events going all over the country and all over the world, really. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, I would say the average gamer age these days is somewhere in the 30s, not in the teens. It's um, most of the people I play PlanetSide 2 with, a good portion of them are in the 50 plus club. Well, not a good portion of them, but there's a lot of them, surprisingly, in the 50 plus club. And, it's not a giant outfit, but
Well,
there's, a lot of old
these
folks.
people that started off on the 8-bit consoles and whatnot, they're getting old now,
I started on
and
the
it's
8-bit
the
consoles.
gamers.
I'm 29.
Well, yeah, that's about where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we're talking about like Commodore 64 and stuff. Throw it in the Wayback Machine. Uh, yeah, gaming. It was folks that it wasn't being a kid playing the game, but being an adult with an adult job and buying the console and having the material conditions to buy and play whatever games you want to, rather than being limited to whatever you can get with your allowance or rent at the store or whatever. So, I mean, the where things have gone since then. The age for gamers has the only reason why it's as low as it is still for the average is that there are still tons and tons and tons of kids starting up games every day that never played before, compared to the amount of adults I feel like is a trickle that have never played and are starting to play.
Well, there was also in the MMO market, there was kind of that barrier to entry with the 14.99 subscription fee that everybody adopted, and we're now seeing the end of that with the free to play model and SOE's all access. I love that idea,
Yeah.
but that kind of adds, the alternative to that is we get more players, but across all ages, younger kids that don't have their own income that they can throw down on a game.
Yeah, it really is. I don't think EQ Next and Landmark is going to be like the end all type thing. Like a lot of people, like the type of people who say, "Oh, it's going to kill WoW." I'm not one of those types of people. But I do think
Only thing that's going to kill
EQ.
WoW is WoW, I
Yeah,
think.
exactly. I do think EQN and Landmark are game changers for the genre. Their SOE is basically raising the bar on how MMORPGs are going to be developed for the future. So I'm excited. It's good for the genre for them to be innovating, because now sure, I plan on playing Landmark and EQ Next for a while, but all the MMOs that are going to come out after EQ Next and Landmark come out should be some pretty awesome ones. There's already some awesome ones in the pipeline with like Star Citizen and the repopulation. Yeah.
There's a few that I feel like are trying to branch out and be the next gen MMO, but there are so many that I see that are just doing it in the classic style that was established by WoW and EQ2 and even the ones before it. like Elder Scrolls Online, for example.
No.
It just looks like such a bad
No.
idea. Just such a bad
Careful,
idea.
you might upset Trendane if he watches
I,
this.
I understand. Like I'd been saying for years, like when I was playing Morrowind, for example, I kept saying to myself, "Oh man, this would make so much sense to be an MMO and have like
Oh, I
people
love
everywhere and
Morrowind.
stuff built everywhere and stuff." But as I've seen how they approached it and how they went about it, maybe it could have worked if they did it right. But I feel like they just did it wrong.
Well, I haven't played ESO. I've only barely watched it. Prepare yourselves. I am one of the few people out there who have never played any of the Elder Scrolls, not even Skyrim. So whenever I look at it, yeah, it looks like a pretty game. So graphically, like the whole series, it's never a graphic thing with me of why I didn't play it. It's just the combat systems never appealed to me. I like my hack and slashes, but it always looked too slow to me. And also I have I recently, like last year, played Fallout New Vegas, and I realized that I have the problem of picking up everything, no matter how if I may find the vendor who wants 1,000 cups. So I better pick up every cup I see just in case. So yeah, my friends have told me to stay away from Skyrim because of that. You'd come in my house and just open up a closet door, and like 5,000 brooms would just fall out.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's kind of how I play those games as well. It's like hoarders or something.
So. Right. One of you mentioned repopulation. I'm not as familiar with that one. Could you give a little more detail? Because Morgrim's talking about it here, that it's good for PvP sandbox type, but
yeah, I won't go into too much of it because this is supposed to be about EQ next. But
right.
the basics of it is the guys. It's like I've been following it since last year. It looks like they're trying to go for the old school Star Wars Galaxies type deal. It's going to have player cities, and the thing is, their focus is actually on the whole player city thing and PvP for it. They actually want to do where you build defensive walls, you actually hire NPC guards. The cities are actually run kind of like SimCity. You have to actually it's a first-person shooter type thing. Actually, you can switch between first-person shooter and RPG mode. They're having both modes in a single MMO.
I like that.
But so
yeah, it sounds interesting.
But the city control is basically like SimCity, where you build if you want guards, you have to build a barracks, and then you hire NPC guards to patrol your city. But then those guards need food and clean water, so you got to build farms to feed the guards. And also clean, water facility. Like it's a whole, city system basically.
I get you.
And then the purpose of why you do that is for like PvP, you can actually do city sieges. A guild can declare war on each other, and you go, you set up outside their city walls or whatever with your siege weapons and lay siege to the city. And if you actually capture the city, when you get in, you get all the loot. If they have like a storage thing or something, you can get in there and steal all their armor and weapons and food and stuff like that. So, but that's not due to come out until like next year, I think.
Yeah, I mean I'm really hoping we get some features with EverQuest Next, where some of the materials and supplies and stuff, sure, we can make them on our own, or we know that orcs make them regularly for their equipment and stuff, so raid an orc camp and get higher quality orcish ones.
Yeah, I do hope they do that, and they have the possibility to do it. So it's like, why wouldn't they? The only reason why they wouldn't is like if people didn't give them those ideas and be like, hey, you guys should do this.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I really want to see this rough combat. Every time anyone asks anything about combat, they say it's coming, but it's really rough or something along those lines. And we've seen, at the next announcement presentation, we saw rough combat, and it looked good enough. I want to see it. Let's play with it.
Yeah, I am psyched for the combat. Even the basic landmark combat. I mean, obviously EQ Next combat is going to be awesome, but the landmark combat should be it'll give what people want in terms of that little bit more, right?
Yeah,
The
sorry to make that confusion between Next and Landmark. I just bring up Next because that's the only time we've seen any sort of combat, and it's all the same engine and whatnot. I mean, I know it's going to be rough, but let's see how rough it is.
Yeah.
well, the combat. See, that's the thing is like the combat isn't really. I mean, it's only half on the player side because we have to worry about the mobs. Like to me, I feel like it's weird even just saying that sentence. In other RPGs, once you do a boss once, that boss's abilities. They'll use them in this order, and you don't stand here. And that's part of the reason why I don't like raiding in RPGs. I'm a PvPer. Because once you do it, I'll do raids once, but then after that, I'm like, why do I want to go there again? I already killed him. I killed him last week. Did he respawn? What the hell?
The thing that bugs me the most is when I think of fighting something tactically and the way the game wants us to fight things tactically are completely leaps and bounds different. So
Oh yeah,
the
for
way
sure.
the way that I would want to fight a giant dragon in their lair isn't going to be creating a giant semicircle in front of them and having one person run up from behind them and attack them so the attacks only go their direction. That's
Exactly.
hilarious. That's like hilarious and stupid. Doesn't make sense.
Well,
The dragon should just eat that person, like right up and move to the
That's
next
that's what
person.
we've been playing for 15 years, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
My-
how you
and-
play the game.
my thing is like, and you're bringing up like Anixia. It's like
Yeah.
it pretty much everyone knew. Like if you went into the whelp cave, it was pretty much a wipe. You would have to really pull a rabbit out of your ass in order to not wipe after somebody went into the whelp cave. And I always wondered, it's like, why doesn't Anixia just walk over to her own whelp cave and like pop the eggs herself?
Exactly. The bosses have no like sense to them. It's so hilarious the idea that someone can be such a troll dick that it's like, hey, you focus all of your attention on me, asshole. You don't focus on the 39 people doing umpteen more damage than you that you could kill in one swap. No, you focus on me, motherfucker. That's how this
Yeah.
battle is going. That's
that-
hilarious. That's not
That
how it's
entire mechanic is just it's wrong, but that's what we've been playing for so long, and I'm so excited to see the Storybricks AI and what the AI is going to be capable of doing is.
And that's why you get like so many people are just confused at the when they hear about Landmark. They're just you're like everyone who doesn't keep up with it, and what it is. Most of the time, trying to explain it to somebody doesn't really work.
unless if they've played Terraria, it
they're
helps.
they're so used to these watered down RPGs. They don't have like the concept anymore. Unless you're an original EverQuest player, then you have somewhat of a concept. But anyone who came in during the WoW era and on, no concept whatsoever of what an actual difficult game should be.
Yeah. Okay, so Morgrum's got a little bit here. Landmark system, prototype of it. Yeah, EQN is or Landmark is definitely going to be a both a prototype of the EQN combat system as well as a testing ground because everybody is going to want to do their own mods and other nice stuff, and being able to set up my own sci-fi PvP area or sci-fi instances where you're fighting fantasy creatures essentially as aliens that are all beefed up and stuff.
Yeah, part of me wonders just how much control we have over how the NPCs that we we put in the game. How much control over their look will we have?
Like, I'd love to see enemies that can be designed on someone's claim that the only way you can defeat this creature is basically find a way to draw it off the claim. But the walls of the claim are massively tall, so the entire battle is you just running for your life, trying to scale the walls of this claim while it's knocking him down, just shooting fireballs and lightning and stuff, and blasting the voxels near you, knocking you away. That's the sort of stuff I hope we're going to have that level of control with it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I
just thought
do
of-
not want to be able to eat a sandwich while raiding. That's
Yeah.
not the way
I
raiding should
read
be
a
done.
book. I read a book one time when we were raiding back in Vanilla when we were raiding Blackwing Lair. I was reading a novel, one of the WoW novels, while we were raiding, and I was one of the tanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
So-
that's-
raiding tanks. That's
you need to be involved.
I mean, I wasn't the main tank. I was one of the off tanks, but still, it was because we had been in there, a gajillion times, so we knew every single boss fight back to front. So it was just completely face roll
Right,
from that point
you
on.
stand in one spot, you hit your buttons with your left hand, and you hold your book with your right hand, and don't
Yeah.
even look at the screen.
Ibophobia. You almost missed the show.
And I did want to. What do you guys think of? Because in WoW, it doesn't happen. A big dragon or whatever. You can run up. You can run through the dragon, right? You can stand inside of its paw. What do you think about actual mobs in EQ Next actually being physical things that you can run into, or it would be awesome. I was thinking of your example of a giant, boss tearing things up. What if one of the ways that you fight that boss is you have to jump from platform to platform or something, like a jumping puzzle, and jump on its back and start hitting on its head or something like that. And that's the only way to fight it.
I
its
thought
weak
you were-
spot is up on its head.
I thought you were going Super Mario status. Bum 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 bum. Just jump on its head.
Jump on its
No,
head.
Everybody
I'm
has to.
thinking-
Go ahead.
I'm thinking Shadow of Colossus sort of
Yeah.
idea where
Yeah.
the monster has weak points. You could sit there and hack at its
Oh,
feet
yeah.
all day. It's not
Yeah.
going down. And climb
Yeah.
up at the back of its head and knife it in the spine.
Yeah, Legolas style, right? Jump on the back of a giant elephant and just shoot one arrow in the back of its head, dead.
Thistle shortages. No, thistle is scarce, guys.
I got so angry. I saw some desert trees off in the distance, and I'm like, "Ooh, some desert trees!" And so I just made a beeline for it. And when I got there, it was one of the things where somebody had just put their plot down and not built a single thing, not even modified the terrain. So it was just a nice cluster of desert trees on somebody's plot that you can't chop.
No, that was manufactured. They did that. They did that intentionally to be a dick. That person gets
Exactly. I was
downvotes.
Oh, you son of!
That person gets downvotes and 1 stars. That's that's just an asshole right there.
It's a troll.
I thought about that, but then I'm like, no, that's mean. Especially none of that stuff makes any sense in the snowy claim. So I wouldn't be able to get away with it the same way.
Part of, well, no, because I was just thinking somebody you could craft, trees that drop thistle and then put it down in your claim and then delete your claim and it's the trees are still there, but no, they disappear. I forgot about that.
Yeah, only doing the Serial special break the world thing where some of the claim gets left behind. Then you might be able to pull that off.
Yeah, so I'll mention that a little bit. I currently have 3 claims. None of them are attached to each other. They're all on different servers, on different islands. And on Serenity Stump, if you go to Serenity Stump, you're at the portal, just look up. You'll see I have destroyed that island. There's 4 or 5 ghost claims just floating all over, remnants of a giant ice tower, and it's just a hideous mess.
The
awesome.
world hasn't auto regen to clean it up.
Part of it did, but part of it didn't.
Wow.
Yeah, it skipped over huge majority of it, but most of it is so far up in the air, the ice tower pieces, that you cannot access them, even with the Prime Grappler. They're 2 or 3
Wow.
claims high in the sky, and just massive amounts of ice up there.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's pretty awesome.
Well, I did want to say one thing. Tolmart said it earlier. It would be great if a monster would kill you and then take your stuff.
Yeah,
And then
well,
you have to chase it down and get your stuff back.
Okay, so
I thought about something like that.
they've talked
um,
about death having consequences, and I think maybe they'll be able to take your props, or your voxels rather, and maybe some of your props, but not your equipment. They're not going to be able to take the stuff off your body.
Well, being able to take anything, I actually, I'm it was one of the Into the Portals a while back. I suggested it, and And Locke was like, no, that shouldn't be something SOE does. That should be something players do. And it was basically, I thought of, when they add in monsters in combat, how cool it would be if at like certain times, like everyone actually has to build defensive walls and stuff like that and gates to keep monsters out, because otherwise, like, it would be awesome if monsters would randomly come in and raid your town. But Locke said no, that should be something like players do, like you design mob AI to do that. But I just thought it would be cool if mobs would actually raid you, us the player, like raid us, and then if they, if we don't fend them off, if they actually successfully steal stuff, take it back to their lair, and we have to actually go find that lair if we want our stuff back.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a really cool. It could be something where the average mob doesn't do that, but very certain special mobs like a rare
Yeah,
boss mob or
elites
something.
or something.
Yeah, and they've just got this treasure hoard they're building of all the loot they've taken from people they've killed. I mean, if the equipment system is fluid enough in Landmark, they could make it that you lose a piece of equipment if you die to a creature.
Yeah, yeah, that's the kind of thing I would like to see. Is with different monsters, and the AI, how it works. I'd like to see like this giant dragon, some named beast, raid boss type things. I'd like to see that there's one of those. It lives in the world. It gradually grows stronger. It steals stuff from you. If it gets hurt, it will decide, hey, I don't want to fight you. I'm a dragon. I'm going to fly back to my mountain cave and deposit all the gold and voxels that I stole from you.
Moreover, how awesome would it be if when you killed that beast, you could hang its head on your wall somewhere in your claim?
Right,
Yeah.
and then it's done, and it's that monster's gone forever.
Yeah,
And
that
you also
I
get
would
to
love
claim
that.
the loot. You get to claim its cave full of loot.
I so hope they do that. Like I can like have a wall full of like boss creatures, like just their heads on the wall or whatever. It's like can you imagine doing that for players for PvP? Well, maybe not their
Yes.
heads, but
Ears, yeah.
Diablo 2 had an interesting system where when you kill the player in PvP, they drop their ear.
Yeah,
So
Diablo
you
1
could
had
have your
that
ear.
also.
Yeah, there were a couple ears that I would hang on to because they were like really bad PKers that just would constantly troll, like the guys that would be Amazons and like sit on the edge of town, and as soon as you go outside of town, they just boom, lightning
Man,
bolt.
the days of Amazon farcasting. I
Yeah,
lost a level 99 hardcore assassin.
yeah. So I would kill those people, and then I'm like, oh, I'm hanging on to that ear and lord it over them, basically.
Nice. That's pretty cool. I mean, they could definitely do some sort of a trophy system for PvP. Um, it'd be. I mean, there'd have to be something that transcends genre, because if I kill someone,
like a Vulcan ear hanging on the wall.
well, no, if I kill someone in a fantasy setting, I would expect maybe an ear. If I kill someone in a sci-fi setting, maybe I've encrypted their
Okay.
DNA, and it's like, haha, I can replicate this asshole and kill him whenever I
Their
want.
DNA. How did you get said DNA?
Well, if you kill them,
I
there's
say
gonna
we go
be a
back
lot
to
of blood.
religion, and when you kill someone, you like bottle their soul or something.
Yeah,
Life
that could
essence.
work. That could work. That's what I was thinking, is something that's more ethereal in that way, that you steal a portion of them basically and do whatever with it what you will.
Yeah, there needs to be there, just as like everybody always says, like we need more impactful PVE, and that's what they're doing with the harder AI and stuff like that. There needs to be more impactful PvP too. Is the like what we're talking about, this that would be more impactful, being able to not so much as taunt, but basically show people I'm most like WoW, for example.
It's a
the
bragging
only way
rights
that
thing.
you can the only way that you can tell that somebody's badass at PvP is they may have like a Centurion title over their head or something like that. Oh, that person's been playing a while. That just the title over your head. That's I want something, and these modern MMOs, especially games like Landmark and EQ Next. I want something physical in the game that I can show off to other people.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, it's almost 7 o'clock here, Pacific time, so it's about time for the show to wrap up. Before we go here, I want to let you guys, any last things you wanted to say, rant about, shout outs to somebody, anything, go for it. Curamach, you go first.
Oh my. Trying to think. Well, I think the main thing I want to plug is me and my friends started a guild, and we have forums, and we've been doing some preliminary planning of what we want to do for Landmark and EQ Next. Right now, it's just pretty much just me and like a handful of guys. We want to. We're always recruiting, so if anyone wants to join. The I mean, yeah, you could pretty much find me in game, as Curamach. You can send me a tell and say, hey, you want to join, and then I'll get you on our TeamSpeak server or whatever. But I think I can link in your chat, right? I'll link our forums.
Go ahead. Shouldn't.
But yeah, I'm also I design pretty much a lot of the graphics on the forum. So
nice, very cool.
And I know the URL link is because that was our old name. For EQ Next we got a new name, so yeah, that's that we can't change the URL, and we don't want to waste the time to build a new website when we already have one. So yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, if you want to join, just go there and drop a line.
Cool. All right, and Searial, anything last stuff from you?
Well, I'd just like to say thanks a lot for having me on the show, and I just started streaming, so if anybody would like to watch me stream, I'm at Searial, and that's pretty much where I'm at anywhere. If you want to find me in game on Landmark, I'm Searial. EverQuest 2, I'm Searial. If you want to hit me up in game or on Twitch, whatever, I totally welcome that. So thanks again for having me. Appreciate being here.
Glad to have both of you here. Everybody, be sure find them in game. Follow them here on Twitch. Follow them on Twitter, and these are two people that you can expect to see throughout the entire life of EverQuest Next and Landmark. So get good buddies with them now, because they're gonna have fat loot a year from now. And that's about it for the
we should
show.
also mention go buy your beta now if you're wanting to get into the beta.
Oh yes, of course. So if you want to get in the beta, just go ahead and scroll down towards the bottom of my Twitch page to the Founders Pack button. Click on that, and if you purchase the Founders Pack there or a gift for somebody else through there, it gives me credit that allows SOE to give me more stuff to give away to people. And more giveaways means more awesome, because pretty soon it's not going to be Prime Grapplers. Pretty soon it's going to be beta codes or some other awesome thing. Whatever it's going to be, it'll be cool. And the only way I get more is if people buy beta packs, or alpha code or whatever ones, any of the founder packs. So yeah, if you know anybody that's looking, send them towards the link down there. So that's that's about it for the show. Thank you very much for joining, everybody. I'm Legendary Neurotoxin. To my to my stage, what is this? To my audience. Audience
He's over
left.
there. I'm over here.
Yes. To my audience left is Curamach, and to my audience right is Searial. It's like, which orientation do I want to go with? All right. And we had 4 entries for Prime Grapplers, and congratulations, you're all winners. I'll be sending the codes after the show here. So that's it.
Yep.
I'm going to put up the last screen here and put up the music, and that'll be it for the show. Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Channel switched. User joined your channel.